So now that the carpet is installed, it is time to install baseboard. Okay, and well, there's quite a bit of baseboard in here. Now, when doing baseboard, there's a few different ways you can do it. And the traditional way, or what would seem to be the most intuitive way, would be cut 45-degree angles on the edges and then put them together. And during all of my years in construction and everything, I found that sometimes that works, but most homes, most rooms are not square. A lot of times near the base down there, near the drywall, it's not even. And so it's just going to make it look like there's a lot of bad joints. So there's another way that you can do it, and I'm going to show you this other way. And it basically doesn't matter how bad the room is out of square or anything like that. All the joints pretty much look perfect after you're finished. So you're going to need a chop box, which is just slang for a like a miter box, a compound miter saw. Okay, you're going to need something to nail the baseboard to the wall with. I'm going to be using a cordless brad nailer, and you're going to need a jigsaw. Okay, so I'm not even going to take measurements yet, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go cut 4 pieces of baseboard and get them installed. And like I said, I'm not even going to be cutting. I'm not going to measure anything at this point, because I'm going to show you my way is a lot quicker. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my baseboard that I'm going to use. This will usually have a kind of a bad end, or it's going to have some paint or something on it. So generally you'll want to cut that, and you'll want to make this nice and square. Okay? So something like this. Okay, so this is going to be one side, and then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that to 3 more of these. Okay. And now I'm going to set the miter saw here to, got a bunch of sawdust and everything in there. To 30 degrees. Now you can go 35 degrees if you want, but for me, 30 is good enough. And we also want it to make sure that this bottom is flush with the rear here. Okay? But basically, I need to cut 3 just like this. Okay, so we've got those cut, and we're going to go ahead and take the end that is squared up, and we're going to butt it right up against where we want it on this wall. Same story here. Okay, so now you can see we have a distance from where we have the angled cut that's on our left And then we have our corner, which is over there on our right. And now what we're going to do is we're going to measure. Let me show you here. So this is how we're going to get our number, okay? Pushing this back, making sure that this is flush, this will go back all the way to the wall when we install this next piece. But we want to butt this piece right here, maybe near the base. We want to butt it right here. We're not measuring back here, we're going to measure right here. And when I say butt it, we're going to do this, okay? And then we're going to measure to the short point of our new cut, okay? And I'll go over short point, long point here in a second. So I'm butting it. I come over here, and what I'm getting is 113 3/8, okay? 113 3/8 to the short point. Okay? Short point would be, of the new cut would be here. This would be the long point of it. Of this particular board, this would be the short point. That would be the long point. So 113 3/8. Let me verify. 113 3/8 to the short point. On this particular one, we're going to do the same thing. Down over there, we're going to butt it, and we're going to measure to the short point. And this time it's going to be square. It's not going to be a short point. So we butt it. We come over here. I'm going to say 48 3/4. Okay. But that there is no short point, so this one I know is going to be a special. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take this out to the chop box, and I'll show you how to cut these. By taking this right here, pretty much like this, okay? Essentially, what this ends up doing is this is going to make it where this is going to butt into the other piece of baseboard that's got that cut. And here is the short point, here is the long point. And we've got to do 115, okay, and something. So instead of trying to hold this exactly on the short point, it's better to take a measurement and just see how much it is. And this is roughly, it's right around 3/8 of an inch, right? So, that's 3/8 of an inch. So whatever I end up getting up here on the top is just a 3/8 difference. Okay, so if I come over here, 113 3/8. There's 113 3/8. But we're going to add 3/8, which is 113 3/4. Okay. So I have a very small dot here, and that's 113 3/4. The reason why I did 3/4 is because we have a 3/8 difference because of the short point. So if I measured and I ended up doing the 115 3/8, it would actually end up being 3/8 too small, right? So I add 3/8, which is the 3/4, and it puts me here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the chop box and set it to a 45-degree angle. And on, maybe with this, on this little dot that I have right here, I'm going to cut a 45-degree angle on this. And when you're doing that, you want to leave the dot. In other words, when you cut this, you should still be able to see a little bit of that dot. You don't want to cut on this side of it because then you're going to be an eighth too small, okay? Or maybe 3/16. So you got to bring this in and adjust it a few times. Do a test run like that. It tells me that this needs to be moved just a little bit. This time, this is now I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. So this is what I'm talking about when I end up saying, let me bring this up so you can see what I'm talking about. It's not easy to do this in the sun because I can't really see the screen. All right, here's my hand. So it's here. Okay. That's what I mean by leaving, like leaving the line, leaving a dot. That actually is about a 1/16. I should have taken it a little bit more, but this will work. Okay. If you've painted your baseboard already, put a piece of masking tape on the table here so it doesn't mar up and leave streaks from the metal rubbing. But what we're going to do is we're going to cut out everything except for the white. Okay, so we're just going to cut up straight like this, over this way, around, whatnot. And we're just going to cut all that away. So we basically are doing that. So now when I turn this over and I measure from this piece down to the short point, I should be getting my 113 3/8. Okay, so let me verify. Because what I'm doing, this is upstairs and I don't want to keep coming down. And I've got 113 3/8 heavy. That's going to work. Let's do it again. Now we got all four. Let's go ahead and install these guys. Okay, so let's take this, flip it around the way it's supposed to be. And we are going to be not even really worried so much about what's happening down there right now. But what I want to do is I want to take this and set it to see how close we are. And we're pretty damn close. So we're going to focus here first, okay? We want this right here to line up. That's what's important, is this lining up right where that sits. We pop a nail, okay? And this little seam disappears when we put caulking. But now I'm going to work my way down. And now you'll see, because of my nice little cut that I did, it looks like a really nice seam, okay? And we can do something like that. So at this point, bead of caulking right there, that's going to disappear. Let's do the other ones. And it's a nice tight thing. And then when I put caulking, it'll disappear. Okay, time for caulking. Caulking takes a little finesse. There's different kinds of caulk. This is painter's caulk. This is kind of what you want to use. Okay. Now this dries pretty fast. It's got a little bit more grit to it, so the paint will stick to it a lot better. It's cheap. This is what you really want to use. Okay. You want to cut the tip off at a slight angle, and you want barely anything to come out. So something like that. Do you see how it's really small? Okay. So, and with that angle, that slight angle, I want it to kind of be like this. Okay. And now I'll show you some of the caulking in this room. I'm not going to do simply because I don't think it's required, because it's really hard to see that the baseboard is not actually touching the wall because of the color of the wall. So it would be kind of redundant for me to do it. Typically you do this where you see gaps and whatnot. So let's come over here and we'll do the corner. And when doing caulking, it's usually a good idea to also have a wet rag. But the object here is we're going to get this started, and we're just going to barely get any. As soon as it gets started, there's going to be some tension on the, some pressure on the caulking gun. Okay, and so if you, after you're done with it, you better release that pressure. If not, the caulking's going to keep coming out. All right, so at this point, you can run your finger over the top of it, like this. This section I'm going to end up obviously touching up with the paint, all right? And then if you have a wet rag, you could hit it with a wet rag, and then that would smooth it out even more. Okay, but ultimately, and you know, I'm not strafing the hell out of this corner or anything. I'm putting only the amount of caulking that needs to go there, and quite honestly, a rag would be really good right now. I'm used to using a rag, but right up here, filling up the gap, removing the pressure. Same thing. Go like that. And that's how you do your caulking. Okay. And like I said, a damp rag, not dripping wet, but damp. You know, you wipe everything down to take any extra caulking off, and it'll look real nice. These walls I just painted, if I ran a rag over this, it would start taking some of the paint up, and I don't want that. So I'm going to do the other corners, and then I'm going to call it good. So you'll see some caulking in some areas that I have to do some touch up on, right? When I end up grabbing the paintbrush. But other than that, baseboard. This section right here is going to be DVD shelves that I'm going to build. So that's why there's nothing here. But anyway, guys, yeah, that's it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. And in some other videos, I'm going to be showing you how to change outlets and stuff like that. And I'm going to also show you how I'm going to go about building this DVD bookcase. So anyway, until next time, talk to you later.